Good afternoon. I saw a couple of comments the other night. People didn't like the video that I made on AOC, and I don't care. Here's another one on Dr. Anthony Fauci, the guy who's always on point, right? He's always throwing strikes. But you saw this one from the other night at the Nationals game with the Yankees. You saw him put this one right in the dirt. I mean, it wasn't even close. Is Anthony Fauci ever close? I mean, when he makes a guess, when he makes a throw, when he makes an estimate, when he says something, is he ever right? When he said a couple of years ago, we're going to have a surprise pandemic. Well, it's not a surprise if you plan it, and it's certainly not a surprise if it's leaked from a lab. It's only a surprise to the people that don't know it's coming, but clearly he did. So it wasn't really a guess. He was more just saying what he was going to do. Kind of a calling your shot, if you will, which is interesting because, Babe Ruth would point up and call his shot, and you saw his pitch. I think that's just ironic. But here you have a live update via the Washington Post. Here's Dr. Fauci saying that any state that has an uptick in cases, now that we're testing everyone under the sun, right? If you have a little sniffle or a little cough, then you're going to go and get tested for the coronavirus. And if they say that your test was positive, that's how I'm going to phrase this. If they tell you you tested positively, then you have a positive test. You have to shut down. Well, they also have like a 4 or 5 day wait period on these tests. And some of these tests, as we've seen in the news, haven't actually been used. The test kits are never even opened in some cases, but they're coming back saying that they're positive. So don't know if you can trust the validity of the tests, except that recently we've seen the CDC's been proven to be faking test results and to be reporting false 100% positive rates, which we know is ridiculous. So what does that tell you? It tells you that Fauci is saying any state that sees an uptick in the testing, it sees an uptick in the positive cases coming from increased testing, they have to shut down again. So again, you have states that, hey, we used to be able to test a few people a day that really needed it. Now we can test thousands a day across every state. Millions of people are being tested a day. And if we have 1 million people being tested and we have false positives coming out of those million, then sure, you're going to see increases in number of cases. But we know that they're not legitimate or authentic COVID-19 cases. So what does Fauci say? Well, let's listen. He's got a great little, it's a great little smile on his face as he wants to tell you about how New York is really doing the best because, of course, they're actually the worst. So, of course, he says they're the case to study and to follow. And here, now we got some audio now that the ad is over. It's 2 minutes.
Entirely in charge of the plan to get us out of this mess you just described. Starting now, what would it be?
Well, I mean, it would be a few things, Bob. It would be first in the states that have been trying to open, particularly the southern states which have gotten into trouble. I would say the first thing is you don't necessarily have to go all the way back to a complete shutdown, but you certainly have to call a pause and maybe even a backing up a bit. And by backing up, for those not familiar with the guidelines, is that the guidelines for reopening are you first starting off with a gateway. In other words, you look at where you are, and if you have decreases in cases over a period of time, 14 days, you then go to the next.
No, is he saying number of cases or cases per capita tested? Is it number of cases total or cases that are positive over the total tested? That's an important number because we can see that the positivity rate is down if you're looking at the actual numbers over the people that we've actually tested because, like I said, we're increasing testing. We are the country that tests more than any other country. So, of course, you're going to see a much bigger number of positive cases in our country. And per capita, we have some of the lowest numbers of death rates. Of course, New York State and New York City has that worst death rate of anywhere in the world. But that's because of Governor Killer Cuomo. Let's continue to hear just what Anthony Fauci wants us to know.
Next step, which is phase 1. If you do well in phase 1, you go to phase 2, etc. to phase 3.
Yeah, well, we can count. Okay, if you do well, meaning if you don't have any cases. Do you guys remember H1N1, the swine flu? You know that Joe Biden just said, let's not do any testing. Let's just call off all the testing. Biden calls off testing for H1N1. Obama admin shut down testing, complicating Biden's little strategy, right? Because Obama did the same thing. He had an epidemic. He had a pandemic. It was called swine flu. The news media didn't even talk about it until 15,000 people had died. And when they decided to cover it, they said, well, Biden's going to handle it as the VP. He'll be in charge of handling it. And you know what he said? Well, we just stopped testing right in the middle in 2009. Because when you have testing, you're going to see positivity. You're going to see positive cases. You're going to see some come back true. Hey, you do have it. So if you don't want people to know that it's a big deal, you don't test for it, right? Everyone is saying, why do we have massive COVID-19 positivity in the United States? Because Donald Trump made testing almost universal. Anyone that needs it can get it. We have some people that don't need it and are still getting it, just to show that they're negative. So when you see an uptick in total cases, that's like saying, hey, crystal ball, show me everyone that actually does have this. If you were able to rub a magic ball, a crystal ball, and say, show me all the positive cases in the United States, of course the number would go up from where it is today, if you believe the numbers. So would that mean that all of a sudden so many more people just got sick? No, it means they already have it or had it and never knew and didn't care, and it's not a problem. But watch how the media spins this. They say, oh, well, we absolutely need to shut this down. And, like Anthony Fauci says, if any state sees an increase or an uptick in cases, in total positive cases, then they have to shut down again. Or maybe not shut down again, but take a couple steps back or pause. What the hell do you think that means? Oh, let's not pause the economy, or well, let's not shut it down. We'll just pause it. What does that mean? Can you pause your job for 3 months? Let's just pause your paycheck then. What does that mean? I disagree. I don't like any of this. And clearly you can tell. If you like this video though, make sure you leave a like. Leave a comment. I'd like to know what you think. Share this video with all of your friends and family, even if it's just to mock. But then also subscribe because it would help keep America afloat.